All right, well, let's get underway. Again, I'm Steve Bonoff with Printing Industry Midwest. Thank you so much for being here. This has been a long time coming in bringing this program to you. But before we get started, a little housekeeping. All attendees are muted on today's webinar. If you have a question, what we'd like you to do is share it in the Q&A icon. You'll see a Q&A button at the bottom. You'll also see a chat function. You can chat in your technical questions if you have a problem with the Zoom. But if you want to get a question answered, please use the Q&A option at the bottom of your screen. We are going to open up all the mics towards the end of the presentation. And so you will have a chance to get your questions answered live and for us to have a little bit of a dialogue towards the end of the program. The event is being recorded, and of course, you will receive a link to the slides and the recording from today. You know, before I introduce our moderator, I wanted to share briefly about how we got here. As a trade group, we have a tremendous opportunity to influence the community of companies that we represent and serve. And in turn, we have an opportunity to also impact then the communities in which we all live and work. With an issue like the pandemic, which was so widely impacting us all, our responsibility to our members was very clear. The COVID-related services that we provided were very staff-driven, and they were much appreciated by members. But when we talk about racial unrest, the type of unrest that gripped our cities last year, a PIM response was not clearly as clear-cut. So reacting kind of the passion of our staff on this issue, we started to do some research about how we might tackle and address this issue. I saw that the National Association of Manufacturers had come out with a series of pledges that they were asking their companies to adopt. And these were principles that were impacting racial justice. Those pledges, which I found inspiring, they formed the basis for what we would adopt at PIM. We made a number of changes to those pledges. We didn't just copy and paste, but we used it so it was a way to kind of drive the intention that we had for the program. But designing a program to impact such a complex set of issues as racial justice, that could not be staff-driven like our COVID-related response. The members themselves would have to be engaged to drive any real change. So we put out a call for support, and that's really what brought us here today. Nearly 20 people responded to that call, joining our new Diversity Leadership Coalition. And so this coalition has been really hard at work for many, many months, meeting 1 or 2 times a month as a group and in side groups, really envisioning and building a program that they could believe in. And at one point, Cassandra Grenwald of Japs Olson expressed frustration during a coalition meeting that we were getting bogged down. And I loved hearing that because it was really a sign of ownership. And so I knew that this program had a great chance of success because that's really what it took. The entire coalition has been an inspiration to us, sticking it out until we had a program that was innovative, workable, and had potential to make a real difference. So the companies that join us in this pilot program really will be on the leading edge of making real change that we can all be proud of. And so I want to thank you again for being here today to be considering joining this groundbreaking program because I know that we're excited about the potential that it offers. So it is also fitting then to have that same Cassandra Grenwald be kicking off today's event. You'll see her on your screen. She'll be explaining the process for how you can participate in the DE&I pilot accreditation program. So Cassandra, personally, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for taking this job on. This is not your job doing webinars like this. So thank you so much for putting yourself out there and for leading our program today and for your passion for this issue. So I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Steve. Hello, everybody. Like he said, I'm Cassandra Grunwald. I work as a data processing team lead at Japs Olson Company. I've been in the industry for about 7 or 8 years. I got involved in the Diversity Coalition at the end of last year after reaching out to Kristen at PIM after the Women in Print event. So Kristen shared some ways that I could get involved, and one of them was the Diversity Coalition. I was very floored by the idea, and I immediately put in a request to join. So I want to start off today by sharing with you why I was so eager to get involved in the coalition. So I grew up watching stand-up comedy, which sounds a bit odd to bring up right now, but bear with me. What makes comedy so great is that it's rooted in truth and honesty. And I would see these comedians of color come up and speak about their experience, tell jokes about the othering or the discrimination that they had been subjected to. And those comedians always left a big impact on me. And I really felt it was disingenuous that the collective we would be able to laugh so heartily at these jokes, but ignore and even outright deny the greater injustices and inequities in which these jokes stem from. As I grew older, I became more aware of the conscious and unconscious bias that is built into every system in which we function. Professionally, there are innumerable ways in which hurdles have been developed to keep out people of color. That's from wage gaps, hiring practices, and something as seemingly harmless as who we choose to mentor. Which brings us to May of last year and the death of George Floyd. That was a wake-up call, a long overdue one, that we need to stop ignoring these systemic issues and work to build a community of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm very excited to be here today. I'm very proud of what the coalition has put together. And with that said, let's jump into it. So the Printing Industry Midwest Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Accreditation Program, or DE&I program, is a coalition of graphic communications related companies and professionals working to solve the racial inequities in our industry. This program is designed to create foundational changes in recruiting, hiring, and training practices of graphic communications companies to effectively address the employment inequities within our industry. So why seek accreditation in the DE&I program? Well, the next generation is watching. We're all dealing with the tremendous pressure of an aging workforce. The need to bring in new talent to learn that body of knowledge is great. The next generation of workers out there, and they are looking for businesses that reflect their community and their ideals. And creating a culture of inclusiveness and building a diverse workforce will support your company's need for attracting young workers. We're ignoring untapped labor pools. It can really be a struggle to find employees regardless of the economic market. By adjusting best practices and being open to a more diverse and inclusive workforce, it will open us up to untapped labor pools filled with potential. And racial inequities have resulted in mass underemployment. Many underemployed people can succeed with access to opportunity, training, and an inclusive culture. Clients care, so we should too. The issues of race are tearing at the fabric of our communities. Promoting your commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusiveness will be welcomed by a growing number of print media buyers. Creating real change in areas of diversity and inclusiveness will be rewarded by differentiating your company to current and prospective clients. And finally, it's the right thing to do. We have the opportunity to make a difference in our communities. We can share our industry with a more diverse body of employees, and being open to new ideas and new ways of thinking can result in making our communities better for all. So what are your next steps? The next step is simple. Since you are participating or have signed up for this webinar, we will send you a follow-up email with the recording of our DE&I presentation along with the enrollment form. Fill out the form and send it back to PIM by August 6, 2021 to participate. By enrolling in the PIM Pilot DE&I program, your first year will be free to start your accreditation steps. If you do not enroll by August 6th, you will have the opportunity to enroll in 2022. But at that time, there will likely be a program fee to participate. So we know that this is a big deal, that this just isn't something that you can flip the switch and say, okay, we did it, the work is done. We know that there's a lot of work to be done and that there's going to be a lot of mindsets that need shifting. So we, those at the coalition and PMI, do not want this to be difficult. The coalition members and myself all work for companies just like yours. In fact, many of our employers are here today to start this journey as well. So the coalition worked hard to make this program work for each company while still pushing ourselves and our industry forward. What you'll find in this program is that each company will work on their own timeline to earn the stars for each level. The goal of this program was not to write the DE&I program for you, but to provide direction and a launching pad for each company to create their own DE&I story. We want our printers to take pride in each star that they earn and know that they made an impact in their company, their community, and their industry. So let me walk you through what we mean when we say stars and accreditation levels. So our program has been broken out into 4 levels, or stars, which are labeled as commitment, aim, momentum, and excellence. So that first star is commitment. So you're here, now what? The objective is that the organization has committed itself to making diversity, equity, and inclusion, DE&I, a priority, committing time, talent, and leadership support. To achieve the first star, your company must commit to PIM DE&I Pledges for Action in relation to culture, development, and partnership, create a diversity coalition, which must include members from all levels of the organization, a member from senior leadership, and must meet quarterly with documented meeting minutes and action items. Company leadership and employee survey to measure DE&I perceptions within the company. So these surveys were developed by the coalition to help companies identify gaps and opportunities, as well as provide a measurement for tracking DE&I progress within the company. So these surveys are required at each accreditation level, but it is encouraged that you complete them annually, as it will help you track your progress more thoroughly. Update HR documentation to address commitment to DE&I, and then bias training for executive leadership, HR, and diversity committee members. The second star is aim. Let's get that ball rolling. So the objective here is to review processes and documentation in the organization that may influence DE&I. Set measurable goals that will move your organization forward. To achieve that second star, you must maintain all previous accreditation requirements. That's the same for level 3 and 4 as well. And then document and report goals based in hiring, promotion, leadership, supply chains, and/or community partnerships. Some examples of those would be bias training for supervisors and team leaders, reevaluating hiring practices and job postings, and identifying and collaborating with local community-based organizations. So the third star, momentum. Keep it going. The objective here is that progress is evident in one or more areas of DE&I in your organization. The needle on diversity awareness in your organization is moving. So to achieve that third star, you must demonstrate and report measurable improvement in DE&I goals, perform DE&I awareness training company-wide. So that fourth star is excellence. There's no stopping this train. So the objective here is commitment to DE&I is ingrained as part of the organization's culture and visible to current and future employees. Participants should reevaluate their goals and develop new goals on an annual basis. So to earn that fourth and final star, your company must conduct regular anti-bias training at all levels in the organization. That means all new hires participate in anti-bias training within the first year of hire, and company-wide anti-bias training every other year. And then the next one would be complete annual DE&I organizational goals. So in addition to the requirements listed in each level, we suggest that the top performers include Written complaint and escalation processes for harassment. What that means is employees must feel free to submit complaints without fear of retribution, and all employees should be made aware and trained on the complaint process. Inclusion should be built into the fabric of the company, from affirmative action plans, job postings, and to employee performance appraisals. Perform internal audits on measures of equity, such as wages, promotions, and opportunities, and have developed partnerships with community-based organizations. So we've provided you with suggested activities at all levels to obtain stars during the pilot process. The PIM DE&I Coalition will be working on more suggestions to roll out to your company and other suggested ideas to maintain your fourth star of excellence. This information will be listed at the PIM DE&I website. Access to this website will be provided after the August 16th start date. So the PIM staff and coalition are here to help along the way. The DE&I website will have tools available to get you started at all levels. Your first step is to identify leaders that will champion your DE&I accreditation process, start developing your company's diversity committee, and roll out the surveys to leadership and employees. By completing those steps, you'll be well on your way to earning your first star. So the target date to start the PIM DE&I pilot program will be August 16th, 2021. The deadline to enroll in the program is August 6th. After that date, PIM members that want to participate will have to wait until the first quarter of 2022 to enroll. Once again, you can sign up to the PIM DE&I program now. Once signed up, PIM staff will follow up with you to make sure they have the proper contact information to move forward. So we will now answer any follow-up questions that you may have or that were asked during the webinar. You will receive a recording of the webinar shortly, along with the link to the sign up for the pilot program. Any additional questions can be sent to diversity@pimw.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. That was terrific. It was a very, I think, short, concise, and a clear definition of what we have put together so far. There is a little misspelling. So diversity, spell it right when you email us, diversity@pimw.org, DIVERSITY. So I'd like to give some people a chance to ask any questions about how we got here, or how you might participate and accomplish your own objectives. Maybe if I can ask someone from the team, so like in one of the errands, maybe Marielle, maybe somebody could raise their hand and chime in a little bit about your experience and how you think that this is going to be able to work and be received by your company. Ben, do you want to maybe unmute?
Yes. What's up?
So yeah, do you want to let's unmute everyone and give people a chance to chime in. So if you want to just mute yourself, in case you can, so you can cut out your background noise, and then we maybe give people a chance to share.
Hey, Steve, can you hear me? This is Chris.
Hi, Chris.
I do want to add just a little bit soon, and probably even maybe in the email that I send along with the recording, we will have an option of a training group that you can use for all of your leadership, HR training, as well as the company-wide training. We're just working on the final details on that, but so then you guys would, anybody that participates in the program will know the cost of doing that training, and that will probably come in the email that I send on later today.
Yeah, it's a terrific resource that we found that has bias training very inexpensively that you'll be able to access in your company. And it's special to PIM. So I think you'll enjoy that resource. Tom Murphy, did you want to ask a question or make a statement?
Yeah, thanks, Steve, and thank you, team, for putting this together. What a wonderful and timely piece of work this is. I think that to give the industry the ability to do this in what looks like is going to be a simple and straightforward manner to really make a big difference out there, you got to be commended. This is a great effort, and I know that at CardSource we're excited to become involved and to work with this. So thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Tom. I think it's that simplicity as well as complexity, because there were so many concerns at the start of the program that we didn't want this to be name only, because these are substantial issues and that have been, 100 years in the making. There are a lot of systemic issues that we're even unaware of or unconscious of, and so we want people to be able to say that they're committed, but then at the same time really actually make systemic change. And so that's where there was a lot of discussion around the STAR approach, the levels, because making a commitment is tremendous, but actually making change is so hard. So we will really want to have a process where we reward companies that are really are proving that they are moving the needle, even though we can commend all of those who are even in the 1 star, because that's the place to start. And we appreciate your willingness to take that leap. Another question, comment from anybody raise their hand? Ben, are you able to unmute everyone?
I can ask them to unmute themselves.
Great.
Which I did, but they have to do it themselves.
Okay, got it.
We can also add, just so all of you know, that like Cassandra had suggested, that we have made surveys that you will use for your leadership and for your employees, and we will be managing that that process for you. So we have the surveys ready to go. When I send an email me back, and I will let you take a look at the survey. We feel that your employees will answer them better because you're using a third party to roll out that survey. All the survey answers will, of course, remain confidential, but you will be shared the information for your particular company.
Right, and it's a good point. It's something that just to put another further point on that is that all of those surveys will be unique to you. You'll have your own survey. You'll have access to it. It'll be managed by PIM. We own the process of the surveying, but you have your own distinct survey that will be confidential to you and your company.
Looks like Aaron has something to say.
Yeah, hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Sure. Go ahead, Aaron. Thank you.
All right. Hey, I just wanted to kind of acknowledge one, the hard work of the team, going into this, creating this from the ground up, and really to the team there at PIM for opening up this discussion and ultimately creating kind of this program that is so needed, right, in the industry here and in other industries, of course, as well. But I can think back to kind of the first meetings, Steve, and you said, you looked all over, right? You looked all over for something to kind of mimic or mirror off of, and there just wasn't anything, anywhere. So this is truly a grassroots kind of effort here that the industry came together to create, and I think it's just so timely, and it's going to be a really great resource. I just know at our company, we've been kind of certainly aware, right, of the issues here, but what to do about the issues is so unclear. And what this program gives us is guide rails, right? You have these kind of guide rails to work within. You've got resources to pull from, to try to, create this kind of diversity program and realize some goals within your company, versus just making stuff up or just looking at other companies. We have our own kind of program now to build, and no two programs will look alike, right? We might have 20, 30, 40 companies working on within the same accreditation process and have very different programs. And I think that's the neat thing that'll kind of reveal itself as we move along through the pilot program, and year 2 and 3 we'll share so much and learn so much together, for the common good here. And that is really exciting to me. So thanks to everybody's hard work on this.
Well, thanks, Aaron, and thank you. And you should be given credit for really kind of instilling the same commitment at your company at Myers, in conjunction, or maybe even before we started our program development. I know you had made some inroads in this conversation at Myers, and so we appreciate your willingness and bringing that experience to the conversation.
Yeah, thanks.
I also want to give the chance for Marielle, if you wouldn't mind. You really took a leadership role as well, Marielle, in this development, and maybe if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about how you think this is going to be received at Bolger.
Hi, yeah. So kind of like Aaron said, it's really exciting that we have these guide rails and this opportunity as individual companies to figure out how we're going to make this work in our organizations. And so we're kind of, even though I've been a part of developing it, now we have to look at how Bolger is going to do it. And that's going to be, I think, just as much of a challenge for us as it will be for every other company that's just joining on. It's definitely a big journey. So, I mean, in terms of what I think we'll start with is, I think that survey is really strong. It'll give us kind of a benchmark. And then, we'll look for training from outside areas, and also what's involved in PIM and what's available. And then we'll make our committee and we'll go from there. So I'm looking forward to it. I will admit I'm nervous, but I think that's a good thing. It means that we're pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone as organizations and as an industry. And I can't wait to get started.
Thanks, Marielle. I think there's 2 points that you made. One was the survey. I do think that foundation is going to open people's eyes to the realities of where their company is at in this issue. But the second one I think is almost most important, is that coalition, that this is not going to be driven by one HR manager extending this out to their company, like oftentimes our benefit and our programs are launched, that this is going to take actually a commitment from multiple elements of the company. And so that group of people that you're going to pull together, and it might be from someone from production and someone, a shipping manager, and it might be from HR, and then a COO, just that group in itself, tackling these issues, having that discussion, I think is groundbreaking in and of itself. And I think because just like our coalition showed, you bring a team together, the people's talents come to the surface and they make a difference. I think companies will be doing that individually when they use this as a structure to make things happen. What are the any barriers that people are concerned about? As far as we've got some people on the call who from outstate. They have less diverse communities. They're wondering, well, is this for me? one of the things that we also want to make sure that people are aware of is that this is not just about people of color. This is about underrepresented minorities in your community, and that from whatever your community is. And that might be people with disabilities, or it might be veterans, or it might be sexual orientations. It's being open to a diverse viewpoint and a diverse community of people. So there's a culture perspective from wherever you are at and whatever community that you're in. So that's a part of the program too. So we want to make sure that people know that women are still underrepresented in leadership positions in our industry. So it's all that same conversation about underrepresentation in our leadership and in our employees. So there's something here for everyone, I'm sure. Chris, Sadie, anything else from you that you'd like to bring up?
I think we are very excited for this process to get started. It's been a crazy year. Bear with us in the first months because this is a pilot program. And so we want you to tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, because we are lucky enough that we'll be able to make adjustments in this first year to see if something is working, something's not working. We did take the survey from another member and kind of worked it as our own, but I will say once they had the survey completed, it was very eye-opening to them and almost a little discouraging to realize that there is needed work. And so we hope that even though you might run into roadblocks along the way, that you'll just keep pushing forward, because a lot of times when this issue is not in the media or in the forefront, that's kind of when we get complacent. And so I just want to remind you all to just keep going, and everything you do will just make our industry better as a whole. And I hope that other industries take notice and want to be a part of this as well in the future. So like I said, we will be here with you. You guys can ask us questions all the time, and we'll try to get back to you. And we're going to work with the coalition. The coalition meets tomorrow. And so we will continue to try to make this program something great that we will, then be able to roll out in 2022 for anyone that wants to participate.
So let's maybe, as we wrap this up, can we bring up the page in our presentation, Sadie, about next steps?
Okay. Yeah, that was a question. Way at the beginning.
Way in the beginning. Okay, that's great. So to reiterate, Chris Davis is now going to follow up an email with the recording of this presentation along with the 2021 pilot program enrollment form. So we would like you to fill out that form so that it is confirmed that your company is now agreeing to participate, and you'll mail that to diversity@pim.org. Do that by August 6th, because we do want to create a really good and a pilot program that has a start and a middle that we can establish, and then kind of get a sense of where people are going, what barriers they might be finding, what elements of the program we might want to evolve before we launch nationally in January, because that is my hope, is that this will become a national program in January in a similar fashion, perhaps under the banner of our sister organization, Print Industries. So your first year is going to be free. They will have a fee for this program ongoing, but we think you should be rewarded for your willingness to step into this pilot program. And then, any questions that you have over the coming days, What's going to be important to this is, and I don't know how much time we've spent on it, but the resource section of our website that we've been working hard at compiling with a lot of valuable resources will really be designed to meet each one of the stars. So we've got resources for your bias training and all the elements and how to create a leadership group. How do you facilitate a group? Who facilitates the group? All those types of informational resources for each one of the stars is going to be on our diversity resource section of the website. So we really want to make sure that we don't just throw this out to you and you scramble for, how do I get this done? We want you to make sure that you've got those resources. And if you don't, that's part of the pilot process. Let us know what barriers you're finding so we can make sure that we address resources and address those particular problems. So again, that'll be by 16th, we'll launch our resource section of our website. And I think then we'll be underway. Any final questions? Cassandra, thank you so much. I thought you did a terrific job. Appreciate your leadership. And I think we're on our way.
Thank you, Steve.
All right. If there's nothing else, any further questions? Nope, I don't think so. Okay, very good. Well, thank you all. Appreciate your time today. We'll let you off a bit early. Happy summer. See you again soon.